You are Locked On Knicks POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports New York on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in. It's the get right night the Knicks were in desperate need of, and they got it. They beat the Raptors at the Garden tonight. Final score 112-98. The victory snaps a three-game losing skid, their longest of the season. And now the Knicks get to look forward to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Perhaps some revenge on the mind of the Knicks. That game will be Friday night in front of the home folks. Hello, everyone. I'm Jay Berman. If you're a New Yorker, you might recognize my work. If not, welcome aboard. I've spent more than 2 decades in the biz, everything from TV to web to radio. Remember to follow me on X at Jay Berman. That's JayBerman. Welcome to the Locked On Knicks postcast, both on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel and the Locked On Knicks podcast feed. The postcast, which is what we're doing right now, gives you a place to hang out after every single Knicks game. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Solid nights all around for the Knickerbockers. Karl Anthony Towns at 27 and 13. OG Anunoby victimizing his old team. He pumped in 27 as well. And Josh Hart with another near triple-double. He's been real good. All that coming up on the postcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. By the way, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Knicks daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. So sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. As we said, 112-98, the final score as the Knicks snap a 3-game losing skid. They did so thanks to the performance tonight of really all their starters. OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns, as we said, each had 27, and the plus-minus story, one for the ages. We'll discuss coming up. As we said, the Knicks have snapped a 3-game losing skid. Those 3 losses, obviously, to Oklahoma City. We'll get to them in a minute. Chicago and Orlando before tonight, turning things around and beating Toronto. If you recall, New York dropped to 1-2 this season without Karl Anthony Towns. He did not play in the last game against Orlando. You figure the Knicks could still win without Cat. That proved to not be true. So they needed him back tonight despite the sore right knee. You saw some soreness in it, especially early on in the game. However, Towns bounces back, and the Knicks win when he plays. Double-double in 31 of the 34 games he's been in. He's the only starter to miss multiple games this season for the Knicks. As we said, he's missed 3 of them, and they're 1-2. So when they don't see Cat on the floor, odds are the Knicks will lose. They've lost 2 out of 3 when he doesn't play. He played tonight, and he played well. 9 of 14 from the floor, 3 of 3 from three-point land, and made all 6 of his free throws. Again, 27 and 13. By the way, the Knicks had 15 offensive rebounds tonight. 4 from Karl Anthony Towns and 6 from Josh Hart. We'll get to Josh Hart coming up. As we said, OG Anunoby victimizes his old team again. He had 27. He had 31 in the last game against Toronto, and again, 27 tonight on 8 of 13 shooting. Knicks were much better from the floor tonight. They were 42 of 88 for 48%. However, OG was 4 of 6 from 3. We'll get to the 3 story as well. Much improved for the Knicks. Everything was really improved across the board. As for the assist-to-turnover ratio, 24 assists tonight for the Knicks, below their average, but still good enough to just 12 turnovers. So that's a 2-to-1 ratio. By contrast, 25 assists tonight for Toronto, 16 turnovers. one of the highest turnovering, if you will, teams in the NBA, the Toronto Raptors. By the way, the Raptors are now 1-16 away from Toronto. They have one win on the road. It came in November against New Orleans. So again, they are now 1-16. Believe it or not, 7 wins for Toronto on their home court, which isn't the worst in the NBA. The road record is, however, again, just one win. They're 1-16. They've lost for the 14th time in 15 games. They didn't lose by 20 tonight. They only lost by 14. Lots of garbage time points for Toronto. However, they've lost 7 games this season, 7 by at least 20 points. And again, when the Knicks pulled their starters, they were up 20 points. The Knicks are now 15-4 over their last 19, 20-6 in their last 26. And as we said a night ago, or 2 nights ago now, the Knicks following a loss this season, pretty good. They're now 10-3, and it's noteworthy because from here on out, the Knicks have the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA. Knicks are 25-13. They've played 38 games, so they've got 44 remaining. They're 12-5 at home. And again, as we said, have the toughest schedule remaining of any of the NBA teams from here on out. All right, 27 apiece for OG and Cat, 21 for Josh Hart tonight, who once again filled up the stat sheet. As we said, 6 offensive rebounds. Folks, that's guts. That's guile. That's all that is. That's heart, pun intended. He had 11 rebounds, 7 assists, and 21 points. A near triple-double again. And as we know, when Josh Hart puts up those numbers, the Knicks usually win. So he had 11 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds, 5 defensive rebounds. Don't usually see that split very often. But again, a big night from Josh Hart, 21, 11, and 7. Jalen Brunson put in 13 points on 5 of 13 shooting, so not his best night. Hit a 3-pointer, dished out 7 assists, and had a steal. As for the plus-minus story, we talk about it nightly, and what a night tonight. Every Knick starter was a plus 19 or greater. Josh Hart was a plus 19. Mikal Bridges a plus 26, despite just 10 points for Bridges on 4 of 18 shooting. Man, when he is off, he is off. He cannot hit anything. Tonight, another one of those nights, had just 2 3-pointers. And when Bridges goes south, if you will, despite the fact that the Knicks won, he becomes invisible despite 36 minutes. Now, we've talked about the minutes before. He continues to lead the NBA minutes per game at 39.2. In fact, has a minute and a half lead on the next highest averaged guy, who just happens to be Josh Hart. Josh Hart at 37.7 minutes per game, second most in the NBA. And as we said, 39.2 minutes per game for Mikal Bridges, the leader in the NBA. Believe it or not, Bridges played 36 tonight. OG and Josh Hart each played 38. Cat played 34. Brunson played 35. Some early foul troubles for Cat. What's interesting about the foul troubles for Cat, and Clyde made a point of discussing it tonight, is that the Knicks are working very hard with Cat to limit what the team calls useless and pointless fouls. Now, he did have 3 fouls in the first half, which obviously brought him to the bench, but it keeps his minutes down as well. Obviously, it keeps him off the floor, which is not necessarily what you want, especially when he's providing offensively, but you get the point. Cause and effect. Minutes come down, fouls come down. Fouls come down, minutes go up. Pretty funny how that works. The Knicks did clear the bench tonight. However, Landry Shamet played 21 minutes, Precious Achiuwa played 15, and Cam Payne played 11. So not much off the bench tonight, although Shamet played possibly his best game of the season. 4 of 8 shooting. He had 8 points, but played well, especially defensively. So the rotation will continue to build out, especially when we get the return, or at least this year's debut, of Mitchell Robinson. So again, the Knicks win it 112-98. We'll get to the standings. We'll get to the schedule. We'll get to it all after our first break here on the Postcast. All right, I want to take a moment to introduce you to a brand new mobile game that I'm really excited about. Here we go. Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step into those shoes. In Ultimate College Basketball HC, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. And when it comes to game time, you get to draw up offensive plays and set your strategy. The way you play won't just affect the current season, it will shape the future of your school's basketball program. How about that? It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Here's a special offer for Locked On NBA listeners. Use promo code LOCKEDONCBB, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download Ultimate College Basketball HC, just visit ultimate-cbb.com or look it up on the app in the app stores. Ultimate College Basketball HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, we're back on the Knicks Postcast. Knicks hosted and beat the Raptors tonight as they bust that streak. 112-98, the final score. The Knicks' 3-game losing streak, their longest of the season, is now history. They dropped to 1-2 last game without Karl Anthony Towns. They welcomed him back with open arms tonight, and he proved to be very valuable. 27 points and 13 rebounds. Also had 3 steals and 2 blocks. By the way, we talked about the foul trouble for Karl Anthony Towns. 3 fouls in the first half. Guess how many fouls he had in the second half? None. So kudos to him for cutting down on the second half fouls. Again, he had 3 fouls in the first half and had to sit. All right, 112-98, the final score. We talked about the Knicks bench, the lowest scoring bench in the league. Now, there's cause and effect with everything. The good, the starters, quite possibly the best starting 5 in all of basketball, certainly one of them. The effect is, and that's the beginning of it, the effect is because they play so many minutes, because they're the best 5 in the league, well, the bench is not going to get the chance to, 1, play, and 2, contribute. As we said, 17.4 points per game from the bench, the lowest in the NBA. And points tonight off the bench, 14 from just 2 players. 6 points for Precious Achiuwa, 8 points for Landry Shamet. Not a single individual other than Achiuwa or Shamet off the bench scored a point tonight for the Knicks. So that is a concern. It ties into the minutes per game, which we know Tibbs loves to run up on his players. And it obviously ties into the cause and effect of what the bench gets or doesn't get, if you will, moving forward. So again, as for minutes per game, we told you about Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, the top 2 in the NBA. More of that tonight, everybody in the mid to upper 30s. Minutes-wise. As for the Raptors, they got just 3 players in double figures tonight. Emmanuel Quickly, old friend, had 22. R.J. Barrett, our old friend, he had tonight 16 points. Now, just 16 tonight. However, he scored 69 in 3 games versus the Knicks this season, 3 games, which the Knicks won. They are 3-0 against the Raptors this season. But again, our old friend RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly certainly making their presence felt. As we said, Quickly had 22 on 7 of 12 shooting. Barrett was 7 of 15 from the floor for 16. Scotty Barnes had 18 as well. Interesting nickname for those 3. They talked about it on the broadcast tonight. Scotty Barnes, Barrett, and Quickly, BBQ. For what it's worth, which is not much, interesting stuff. All right, as we said, the Knicks following a loss this season, 10-3. So they did the job tonight. They did exactly what they needed to do. They're 25-13 overall, 12-5 at home. As for the standings, well, they're very interesting, especially since what the Cavs did tonight to Oklahoma City, certainly worthy of mention. 2 best teams in the sport met tonight in Cleveland. A 15-game win streak for Oklahoma City, a 10-game win streak for Cleveland, who sits atop the Eastern Conference as we check the standings. Cavs beat the Thunder 129-122. So, point is, before we get to the standings, Oklahoma City's not coming into Madison Square Garden with a win streak anymore. In fact, they'll try to start a new one. So, depending on your desire to play a team with a win streak, well, that's gone. We'll see the Cavs eventually. All right, as for the standings, we said the Cavs are at the top. They're now 32-4. The Knicks are 25-13, as we said. So they keep pace with the Cavs, pick up a half game on the Celtics. Celtics are 5.5 behind the Cavaliers. Knicks are just 2.5 behind the Celtics. As for the Raptors, again, they have just 8 wins on the season. Knicks were 12-point favorites tonight, and they covered, winning by 14. Again, to the standings we go. Cavs 32-4. They lead the Celtics and Knicks. The Celtics are 27-10, again, 2.5 in front of the Knicks, who pick up a half game on Boston tonight. Magic, Bucks, Pacers round out the top 6. Magic falling, though, especially without their 4 best players, although they will get Paolo Banchero back coming up. Magic, Bucks, Pacers 4, 5, and 6. As we said, Oklahoma City comes to the Garden on Friday night. They're coming off a loss, and they're coming off a game which they beat New York last week in Oklahoma City, the 2 hottest teams in the sport then. Oklahoma City then went to face Cleveland, the 2 hottest teams in the sport then as well. So the Knicks get a shot at avenging their loss from Oklahoma City on Friday. That was a 117-107 win. So a week later, a Friday later, they'll get another shot at Oklahoma City. Again, Friday night, 7:30 tip time. All right, 112-98 final score. We'll take our final break of the postcast, and we'll break down that lengthy schedule, which features 2 5-game homestands. We'll discuss coming up. All right, I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago. The energy and excitement, unforgettable. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming Knicks game, who else, using the Game Time app. With Game Time Picks, I found amazing deals and could even see the view from my seat before buying. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. What time is it? It is Game Time. We are back for the final segment of the postcast as the Knicks both hosted and beat the Raptors tonight, 112-98. The Knicks bounced back 2 miserable third quarters in a row against against Chicago and Orlando, respectively. Those games featured 17 points total from the Knicks in the third quarter. Tonight, a much different story. They scored 31, so nearly doubling their total from the last 2 games. So kudos to the Knicks for the second half bounce back. Again, 31-25 in the third quarter. It kind of felt like a ho-hum game all night, even with the Raptors within single digits most of the first 2 quarters. As soon as the Knicks stretched it to double figures and then a late run in the third, well, that really sealed the deal, and really wasn't much for Toronto to get back into the game for. Again, 1 win for the Raptors out of the country of Canada. They are a 7-win team at home and a 1-win road team. So the Knicks, as we said, enjoyed it tonight, considering from here on out, they've got the toughest schedule remaining in the NBA with 44 games remaining. We need to talk about the minutes, which we did. We also need to talk about players banged up. If you watch the game tonight, early right knee soreness from Cat. You could see him grimacing. You could see him grabbing his leg. Now, you figured at some point, 1, this is either going to go the wrong way, or 2, he's going to sit. Neither of those things happened. Stayed healthy, and he played. In fact, Cat played 34 minutes tonight, even with those 3 fouls in the first half. So we got to worry about his knee. Josh Hart left at the 4-minute mark of the first quarter. I don't know if it was an ab or a rib. It was midsection, which is all we really need to know. He did obviously return and contributed nicely. Something to monitor. Again, Brunson, the way he plays, he's always banged up, and you love that about him. But again, either the minutes come down or the Knicks have to keep their fingers crossed for most of the season. It seems like the smarter thing to do is keep the minutes down, although that's not how Tibbs operates. He hasn't operated that way in the past. Mikal Bridges has been the leading minutes getter in the NBA all season. And guess what? That's never going to change as long as he's healthy. By the way, Mikal Bridges, 19 consecutive games in double figures. He only scored 10 tonight, but again, 19 straight in double figures. If anything, he shows up and he plays hard. 36 minutes despite the 4 of 18 shooting tonight from Mikal Bridges. All right, 112-98, the final score. Let's take a look at the schedule. We told you about Oklahoma City. That will be game 3 of the 5-game homestand, the first 5-game homestand of January. So, Toronto is a win tonight. Oklahoma City Friday. Milwaukee Sunday. That's an afternoon affair right in the smack middle of the NFL playoffs. Not sure what the NBA was thinking with that one. Milwaukee at 3 Eastern. Then next Monday against Detroit before the Knicks go to Philadelphia, before the Knicks return home for 2 more. So again, lots of home games. In fact, we discussed it last night. We'll repeat it real quick here. The Knicks only have road games in January in Philadelphia and Brooklyn. The next time they would likely have to take a plane would be in Toronto. That game is Tuesday, February 4th. So they're not going to see the air until February. Amazing stuff. Again, they'll obviously drive to Brooklyn. They could easily train it to Philadelphia. Every other game they play in the month of January, a home game. That includes 2 5-game homestands. So they played the first 2 of the first 5-game homestand, a loss and a win. They lost to Orlando. They beat Toronto. Now they get a chance to revenge, if you will. They get a chance at revenge for Oklahoma City's 117-107 strong effort from them, especially in the fourth quarter, back in Oklahoma City on Friday. The Knicks, again, will get Oklahoma City on Friday, Milwaukee on Sunday, Detroit on Monday. So 3 more home games to complete the first 5-game homestand in January. And again, the Knicks only have 2 more road games the entire month in Philadelphia and in Brooklyn. The Raptors sent to their 14th loss in their last 15 games, courtesy of the Knicks' performance tonight. They won by 14. They could have won by 25. Knicks pulled the starters. Toronto got some garbage time points. Really, the only thing worthy of that is that the Raptors have lost 7 games this season by at least 20. So it could have been 8. 14 is good enough nonetheless. By the way, the spread was 12. Knicks covered. They won by 14. All right, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Knicks Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. Also want to mention our partners in crime over at Locked On Knicks, Gavin Shaw and Alex Wolf, the All-Stars. Again, they handle all the stuff at Locked On Knicks. So follow, subscribe, and enjoy. 112.98, the Knicks win again. They're 25-13 overall. They snapped their 3-game losing streak, hopefully the longest of the season. They're now 12-5 at home. They beat a 1-win road team. 1 win. The Knicks beat the Raptors tonight, as they should have. All right, Oklahoma City on Friday. We'll be with you immediately following Knicks and Oklahoma City. Good night, everyone.